saying group of things. Okay, for example, that, can you see that? All right. Something called final technical report. As you can see, more aeroelastic characteristics for composite supermaneuverable aircraft. You hardly need to say it is for military application. You know, once the word supermaneuverable is there, because supermaneuverable is pretty much well understood to be a military focus. While it is useful in a civil aircraft system, it is critical in a military application. So the grant number 890055, that's for AFOSR, that is Air Force Office of Scientific Research. December 28, 1991. That's in effect 2 years, a little shy of 2 years. So that's almost 2002. I'm sorry, what, 1992. A little shy of 2 years after Gagut was revealed. Because the revelation came in early in the year. And that's why I wanted to clarify that even though we're doing at the end of the year, it isn't the actual date of the revelation itself. The revelation came in very early in 1990, January for sure. And so, so you can see here, yes, it's here was composite supermaneuver warplanes. Now, the December 28, 1991 has some connection or something that is this was done in the United States, obviously, and but something happened in December 26, 1991. And John, do you have that handy? Okay, I'll take it. Because, this point is important.
Just hold on, everyone. Miss Q. Miss Ra. Can you hear us? Sorry.
All right. So, okay. Can you take a look? The first, let's see. Look at the fifth line in that document.
See it.
You can see there over here. 26 December 1991. And what you saw, and that, 28 years ago. All right. Now, the report which you saw was 28th of December. 2 days after that. It's one thing that must be understood about, Soviet Union and Russia. Their intelligent dynamics is extremely powerful, very strong. The U.S. was flabbergasted to find out Russia had the secret, had understood the relative, the E minus MC squared is equal to 0 so well that it didn't take them time to develop atomic bomb after the Manhattan Project over here. Now this is something similar. One similarity between the two, of course, is that one hot war was ended and one cold war was ended. Okay? In this particular case, we're talking about so-called Cold War. Okay? It was ended by this formula. And that's extremely important for black people and the rest of humanity to understand. There's no such a thing. Yeah, there's no such a thing as a free lunch, as is generally understood. Nobody gives up their position without a fight. Nobody. The dissolution of the Soviet Union was a process of internal disintegration within the United Union of Soviet Socialist Republic and all that, also referred to as the Soviet Union, which began in the second half of the 1980s with growing unrest in the national republics and ended on December the 26th, 1991. Yes, that's what is most important is the simultaneity of the report and the collapse. They all understand. Yes, praise God. It's very important. Very, very important. However, fed these countries, southern population, and neither him or his race was recognized. The Jewish people participated through the relativity formula in the Second World War that helped the Allied forces win the war. They did not waste any time demanding to be paid for it right away. They were paid. Understand? That's right. The Cold War was ended almost single-handedly by the formula Gij, J equal to 0. The black race deserved to be paid. Praise God. Now that is, while you're watching, call your brothers and sisters and make sure they tuned in here. You need to pay attention to this. Yes. You need to pay attention to this. You can't, the Jewish people are coming out of gas chambers. The wealth they were obviously not anticipating. Initially, they were staggering, even in light of that danger and death in the gas chambers. We have our own gas chambers. What happens on the street with the wanton destruction of black lives on the streets by the police and others. The prisons, when you bring all those together, you get the gas chambers. The death rate, unemployment, locally and universally in the Gagutian world. So, just for the Cold War ending alone, the black race deserved to be paid. Now there were some symbolisms that one could see. The Obama presidency, of course, was part of the payment, just like the Federal Reserve was given to the Jews. But for the Jews, the Federal Reserve wasn't a flash. They're still in there today. So the presidency cannot be a flash for the black race. That's what we've earned through Gagut. Praise God. And in all the intelligence reports, definitely verify that. And so it cannot be a flash. They have a convenient way of believing that we have amnesia. For one thing, most of our people, they still don't know about Gagut. But 2004 was particularly spectacular, where those who are woken by Gagut gathered in the country of Nigeria and checked Gagut out and invited the whole world to check Gagut out. And once they're convinced, it's a God order, restating the black race to global leadership. Again, and this time forever. They made a declaration through the praise God again. They made a legal declaration that spelled it out of which came the African International Prize, the Gagut African International Prize. So when we're talking about being paid, the Jews pay themselves first. They pay themselves first before demanding to be paid by others. They set up the Wolf Prize. They compelled the Nobel Foundation to give Albert Einstein the Nobel Prize. The black people, having in fact told the Nobel Foundation they're dead because they're worthless prizes, worthless for the caliber of black race. You can give it to, that's considered a special ed. And that is a conclusion that was arrived in the Gagut Senate motion. We cannot accept special ed prizes. It's the only prize they can give themselves. But once that decision was made, of course, it was stipulated the only prize that not only Gagut but the rest of the black people can win must be consistent with our intellectual blessing from God, our intellectual level of blessing from God, which is being the most intelligent race through Gagut. And so the Gagut African International Prize became the highest prize the creature can win, at $2 million every year for life. Therefore, when you begin to understand, like you're seeing here, you are in the center stage of the world, the universe. Because God ordained you to be in the center stage. Week 26 is the center of Göttingen, which John shared with you earlier. That's right. That's where you belong. And it couldn't come from a more authoritative source than Göttingen in terms of the non-black world. Göttingen University, that's the King George II, August George II, University of Göttingen, not very far from Hanover, where King George and the rest of the royal family in England originate from. That's what their hometown is, Hanover. Not very far from Göttingen at all. And so, it was very clear the black race has been ordered to take the center, play this, be in the center of intellectual dynamics universally. I came from Germany because Germany used to play that role before 1990. Do you all understand? Do you all understand? Praise God. This is the message that we need to deal with. Like I said, the Jewish people staggered a little bit there because they were not anticipating E minus MC squared equals 0. They were not anticipating it. So that's the initial shock. But the initial shock should never lead to paralysis. Of course, the initial shock and the whole status of things was something that was part of the war against us. The paralysis of the mind is something that Jim Crow has been forcing into our brains in order to actually change us, which is what God responded to in 1990. To change us from the most intelligent race. Praise God. Praise God. To change us from the God order of being the most intelligent race to the lowest intelligent race. And black people have been acting for those 2,500 years. But in 1990, God ended that. God exposed the reality about everyone. And that's why Clinton responded and ordered the revision of the IQ for humanity with the prerequisite that which, declared the removal through Gagut of the 3/5 label for black people. Through which the so-called European bias was removed, which is really geometrically multiplying your IQ by 3/5, so you could look like you are the dumbest race. Well, that has been busted once and for all. Therefore, praise God, you must saturate your mind with it. I'm sharing this with you so you can see the hugeness of the impact of Gagut. Okay, for the last 29 years. There's nothing that has been happening since 1990 that's not governed by Gagut. That's not based on Gagut. I'm talking about anything that was done right. Anything that has been done right will have a GIJ. If it's done properly, then it has a GIJ, and they all come from Gagut. And you all see that. Okay, so the Jewish people kind of patented E minus MC squared is equal to 0. Although they claim, there's a claim that says, oh, you can't patent the formula and all that. Well, that's not really true in reality, because the name of the person with the formula will always be associated with it. And along with the name being associated with the formula, the race is associated with the formula. There's no way you're going to convince a Jewish person that E minus MC squared doesn't belong to the Jewish people. The same way that You'll understand. The Gij, comma j equal to 0, and the part that is the infallible proof of it, the most rigorous infallible proof of it, is the eta sub n. John, perhaps he could flash, that again in a little bit. So what I wanted you to hear now is how the Soviet Union collapsed as soon as my report was done. The timing is incredible tight. So obviously, one can see why in 1985, when we were in Germany, understanding that Germany, it was still Cold War, and Germany was divided into two main parts, East and West. And we're going to Aachen, Germany. And not only did we have NASA coming along with us, certainly the highest level of security was following us, and it was hard to, it was hard, but it was interesting at the same time. A trip for me and everything. It was my last trip where I had a last opportunity to see my father alive and everything else, so there's that part of it. But it was a lot of memories also. But it was a very powerful visit, powerful connectivity with Germany, and so on. And so, but that time I hadn't seen this yet. But now seeing this, you understand, they're only 2 days apart from the end of that report. I said, Germany, praise God. Okay? What happened to the whole country of Soviet Union? Because it's like when we were going, I mean, the German airline was particularly nice to me, and a few of my colleagues that were going to Germany from America, it was very cordial. It was everything was just unbelievable. And I paid for, according to the rules, if you're working, doing research for the DOD, yes, you're allowed to only fly in the economy class. So that's what my budget allowed. That was the official thing. That's where I paid. That's what, the booking was for, but they put me in the business class. You understand? And, a lot of wonderful things like that. The hotel where I was staying, there was all kinds of goodies and everything. But now I understand. The same year, the same month, yes, the same month and 2 days apart. You understand? So, John, let's switch back to the other one. So I want you to really remember the dissolution of the Soviet Union occurred 26 December 1991. And the Pentagon report, the Pentagon report came out 28th of December. Final report. Of course, there were a few previous reports. You understand, before then. The date for the final. Okay, now see? December 28, 1991. All right? Okay? That's right. That's right. So now, so therefore, and then you also see the DTIC. Obviously, that's the pentagon stamp. All right, you can see that, right? Yes. Most people don't know what this is. This is from the Pentagon. This is Pentagon marking the report as it was being turned in and go through reviews and so on and so on. But this is the recognition. So I remember going to one of the DOD program managers and he was asking some very tough questions and he was asking another professor from another university, and we were overhearing it, and they, I said, well, what can I expect if you awarded a contract, and the guy says something like, well, I'll write a report and of what I've done, I found, and and the guy says that cannot be all that you can give, because he says, I have so many reports over here. Yeah, it says no, it's not report. It has to be substantial, substance in what they're doing. Otherwise, I have trillions of people literally waiting for me to give them, waiting to be given a contract, to be selected with the rigor. So now this is the highest award for the research from the Pentagon in terms of defense-related strategic research and so on and so forth. DTIC selected. You all understand? Do you all understand that? Now, why you can see that's both sides. The selection obviously gives you a sense. Most of you will never understand what it really means. You understand me? This particular piece was something that was inherited from Operation Paperclip in terms of from Germany. Germany didn't become such a first-class military power just by fooling around. Okay, and they research this area is how they developed that prestige and those, that kind of a name and reputation. So America adopted the DTIC, that is the Defense Technical Information Center selected. Not every report goes in there. Certainly they read it if you're lucky. Yeah? Most of the times it ends at very early stage when the review was going on and we were selected by the Air Force itself, the Air Force branch, and then they invited us to Wright-Patterson contractors meeting. I know quite a few professors, legendary professors, whose work were not selected, were really marveling at this work. We had no idea that it actually goes into the Pentagon to be highlighted because of the use of Gagut in working out, the dynamics of supermaneuver warplanes. So now that is, like I said, just a sheer coincidence, or what appears to be a sheer coincidence, but there's no such a thing as coincidence in this kind of dynamics. Okay? 26 and 28 are very, very close. And if you didn't see it yourself, see, you understand, I was busy writing my reports, following the government schedules and so on and so forth. I had no idea somebody else had their own thing, and somehow the dates were going to be so close, which is why I gave you a hint before in terms of how did the Russians... Huh? Okay. I understand. So, you know, how did Russia got, so close in terms of develop this atomic weapon so quickly? There were a lot of other things that will come later on, but their intelligence is not one to mess with. That's why, and they're pretty accurate. They don't fool around. All right? And so in any case, so DTIC, that means it selected the most prestigious thing you can get in terms of research work, fundamental research work that puts America's, military dynamics as a top notch. That's what we're talking about. An area of supermaneuverability is one of those critical areas. At the time where warplanes have to go in the air and do battle. Okay? And show superiority that would discourage a large-scale regular war. This was there, and so on and so forth. So that's what happened, and of course I didn't get the report in terms of this dynamics until just a couple of years ago. This happened in 1991. It wasn't until if you see. Yes, this document has been approved for public issue, public use. Okay, I think public use and sale. Okay, public use and sale. Its distribution is unlimited. Or public usage and sale. Okay, and so that's a government stamp as well. So it's no longer in a restricted stuff. That's after the government had taken whatever it needed to. But nevertheless, Russia is still very interested in it. As soon as this was, and the government released it, I kind of sensed Russian focus on the report and everything else. And this report, of course, also was distributed widely in Germany, Hanover, that's Queen Elizabeth's, home ground and everything else. A lot of talk and everything else were going on with this report. But, so, John? Okay. Now, so, therefore, so what made all this possible? Here you have Gij, comma j equal to 0, and the simplified proof, which I've given in many of the presentations here, but also the rigorous proof, which I'm going to show today. And so, but the practical proof, of course, is in the design, of the warplanes and other things. And so, America, won. Okay, by the way, you can see here the various terms. This is air defense. AD is air defense. Okay, they had to check, and that where the the missiles and ICBMs, interconnected ballistic missiles and all that. That's all part of the air defense. Okay? And technical report, is given, and there's so many other stamps, for example, there's something here, okay, some of them we can't read, and so on and so forth. But it got a lot of circulations. I go back to and give me it as a okay. Okay. Can you see what's on the screen? Hello? Hello? Can anybody see what's on the screen? Sister Ra, can you see it? Hello? 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 Hello, is anybody there? Can you all hear me? Anybody see the formula? Okay. All right. This is where the supermaneuverable warplane was designed from. Do y'all understand? Yes. Yes. This is the solution to all problems, mathematically. Praise God. This is a formula for everything, a solution, fundamental solution to all problems, individually and collectively. This is the best proof you are in the Gagut heaven state of existence. It's right in there before your eyes. Do you all understand? Yes. Yes. But do you feel it? This is heaven. Yeah. Now, this is also God. Because God is the source of all this. This is the totality of the universe. Fundamental. You better believe Stephen Hawking and everybody else, including Gauss and everybody, they're flabbergasted. Any conscious person will be flabbergasted. Stephen Hawking said no. Just getting an idea, no matter how unclear it is, he basically indicated it was impossible. This came out of the Gij, comma j equal to 0. As the infallible proof that all infallible truths, that includes all infallible, all creatures, came out of Gij. That infallibly define the God, the Creator. All this came out of God. And in the process defines God. We all understand. That's what you have in front of you right now. This is how God handed the solutions to all problems mathematically to me. And I've been sharing with all of you the rest of the world. Literally free of charge. The only problem with when it is free of charge is you could never get anything out of it if it's totally free of charge. That's just that's the nature of things. Doesn't matter how much you kid yourself. You cannot get something out of nothing in reality. My father had added that even if you really got it, you will not get anything out of it. Because it will go the same way it came in. The only thing that people will get a use out of is something they sweated for, meaning they paid for it. That's why it's important for anyone and all of us to understand you can't get around this fundamental law. It's the way God ordained it, so that's why there's something called sweat. You got to sweat for a lot of things. You got to think. Before you could understand the value of things. Because something you don't even think about, somebody give it to you, it will never stick to your system. Which is also the same, if you don't look for it, if you're not in need of certain things, somebody give you, it will never stick. But in this case, you need every ounce of what is in front of you. This says God when n is equal to infinity. That's what God is. That's what the fundamental building block for the totality of the universe. And even though the universe is absolutely infinity, well, so is eta sub n. Eta sub n is also infinity. So you match them in terms of sequence, because this is also a sequence. So sequence by sequence, the same way you have a series. Series is a form of sequence. So just because a series can go to infinity, can have infinite terms, and even diverge, meaning it, it goes to infinity. Or going, being infinite is part of a divergence or part of, divergence. So even though, yes, but what is important is you can understand even when something is infinity. You can understand it. That's the kind of apparent dilemma that, face humanity, especially before Gagut. I says, now forget it, you can't understand something that is infinity. That's not real. Sequences can be understood once you've seen the pattern and you can write down exactly. That's what this exactly. Exactly. And even though when n is infinite, it does diverge into infinity, it is understood because you can pick that, it will be very large quantity. Maybe you don't have a computer that can store it, but if you manage to find it later on, you can store it. So what's important is, if you can understand an infinite series, especially one that diverges to infinity, that's the model for the universe. Do you all understand? Something that has infinite complexity, and this infinity, absolute infinity, was put in my brains by God. Do you understand? Do you understand? And there's going to be a lot of talk and counter debates and all this for eternity on this formula. It's right there. Infinite sequence. But it's exact. When n is equal to 0, you have what is called the subatomic particles. All of them. Exactly. Do you all understand? That's a building block for the material universe. But it didn't give just the material, which is this. In that case, it will be G0J. It doesn't just give that, but it gives the space-time as well. That's XJ. It never let you guess anything. Both the geometry and the material on that geometry is given exactly for all subatomic particles. All of them. Praise God. So do you know who Oyibo is? Well, this is how you find out. This is how you find out if you know Oyibo. Or you're still learning about. Yes. Okay, so now, that's right. That came through, that's what God's revelation to me. Unlike all previous revelations, this one came out total and perfect. When Professor Yabaka was saying that, people thought he was crazy. He says it's a very big breakthrough now. That's from Cambridge conservatism. He says it's a very big breakthrough. That's the worst he could say without being lynched by Cambridge. You understand? So, no, well, but he said it, It's a very big breakthrough. And it's perfectly correct. That's what he said. Perfectly correct. Praise God. Praise God for Professor Walker. Of course, you know, people say, oh, gee, he paid the price. Well, yeah, the devil has no price to give anyone. The devil has no price to give himself. Let the Lord give others. So that's not surprising. They forced him out of the Senate because, man, see, he has a lot of respect from fellow. It doesn't matter if you talk in England or United States or Gagut. He commands a lot of respect because of intelligence. We had a premier that was known to be very, very, you know, people have all kinds of ways of describing him, but he was about the age of his father, Professor Walker's father. But he had a lot of respect for Professor Walker, especially after going to Cambridge and earning PhD mathematics. He had him on his cabinet. He was the premier of the northern region. And I had a lot of respect for him. You see, when he was getting into Gagut, he had no, I mean, you understand me? He had not. He came in with assumption, no, he has to see it as being nothing until he can be convinced to the contrary. That's the kind of guy we're talking about. Very, very strict. So when the National University Commission said, well, look, we hope we're going to make a comment. And he said, no, I can't promise you a comment. That was as he was getting into it. So it's like, look, that decision will be made when there's a need for a comment, or when that is clear, or it can be done. I can't make the decision right now. I have to see what is in there. So even when people were showing him reviews and everything else, he said, no, which I certainly have something common there, because people used to, those days, impress people by saying, well, Gene, I went to Harvard, I went to Cambridge, I went to Sorbonne, I went to Moscow State, you know. Right from youth, I was never impressed by that. With, yeah, I was never impressed with, you know, what other people say about somebody. I have to, that's basically what he was saying. So he came in nice and prepared to what was called the command lecture at Abuja, standing room only. Of course, it was by invitation only. They had the whole world to invite. All major scientific countries and institutions were invited, all of them. The Germans were there. They had their news and everybody else. They came to study this, man. They were not fooling around. Interview me in more than one language on the German, you know, media systems. And that was 1994, I'm sorry, 2004. They were working on looking into Göttingen, Gaussier, 2005. They were there. Soviet Union, everybody else was there. All right? For Professor E. Abubakar, the one that knocked him away was this formula. He could explain, he could see the logic after the 2-3 hours presentation. He was holding his jaw like Professor Julian Cole, whom he probably knew. Because he did have a stopover at Caltech where Professor Julian Cole was the head of that department. Professor Yawaka was in Caltech during that, roughly around the same time. But he was holding his jaw down, to, you understand. So, the GIJ, the whole dynamics there was, especially when I was giving the concept of, okay, you get up in the morning and you put some 1,000 naira in your pocket and everything else. And yes, you go through this, GIJ comma j equal to 0 comes out of that very nicely. In ways that people can, so-called regular people cannot dispute. Thus the simplified proof. This is the most rigorous proof. The eta sub 0 when n is equal to 0 piece has a geometric part, that's space-time, and the material part, or materialization part, G and J. Together they define a unit, materially and spatially, or space-time fashion. Nothing's left for a guess, So, well, like we said before, n is equal to 0, we have subatomic particles with their material as well as their space-time. And all of them. Now, those are a set of infallible truths. Do you all understand? That's correct. Those are infallible truths in terms of the statement of the theorem says all infallible truths. That includes all creatures and the material and the space-time constitutions of those creatures and infallible truths. Do you all understand? You want to get into this because this is heaven state. You believe me, you do want to get into it as a man, because that is yourself. Yeah. Yes. It's the most beautiful thing there is. God and all God's creatures are all innate as of man. That's why Stephen Hawking said, no, a creature can never be blessed with this. It's not possible. But it's right here before your eyes. It's right here. It's like if God could squeeze God's self, where God, only one, of course, you can say piece of God and you can imagine the rest. It's not possible to squeeze God into a finite mode. The totality of God into to a bounded space time. But fundamental in terms of a building block for that is what you have in it as a man. So eta sub 0 is all the fundamental particles, all of them. You know, that's what's in here for the whole universe. Out of that is where everything came from. Everything and all things. That is an infallible truth. Subatomic particles, you may not be able to see them with your eyes. Some cases, like in the photons, you know, the effect is what you notice. The light waves are made up of photons. So the photons are part of G0J, and they have their space-time associated with them. Those are infallible truths. Do you understand me? And they do go in a straight line. Now when you see a light ray from the sun, it comes in a straight line. That is represented by this here. Therefore, that is one set of infallible truths that came, because this came out of it at Gij, comma j equal to 0. This is the geometry of how this infallible proves Gij, comma j equal to 0 is infallible, infallibly correct. And you see that? Yes, your system is made up of subatomic particles as well. You realize that? Yep, your flesh, yep, your bones, every constitution of your body are made up of subatomic particles. Subatomic particles combine together to form afrochrogen that comes out when n is equal to 1. Afrochrogen previously called hide the origin. Africa is the origin. That comes out here when n is equal to 1. That's also a set of infallible truths. Do you all understand? And along with eta sub, of course, eta sub 0 is a straight line. That, you know, this is the invariant for a straight line. Oh God. It's a Gagut heaven state of existence. See, you're able to see the presence of the Almighty God in eta sub n. So if you can recognize God there or appreciate God in eta sub n, you can't go to heaven. Because it's the same thing. If you are in heaven and you don't appreciate the presence of God in heaven, then what use is for you being in heaven? You understand? What would you what would you be doing in heaven? Now that's what this is. And that has to be associated with why God handed this thing over to me. On behalf of black people and the rest of humanity. It's so that you can begin to live the Gagut heaven state of existence. Praise God is right. Do you all understand? Do you understand me? So this is how you answer the question, do you really want to go to heaven? Do you all understand? This is how you check yourself out in reality. How do you find etas of n? It's how you find heaven. Sometimes we'll make a big deal on, oh yeah, we want something, and then when we come face to face with the thing, because we don't really, it was just some urge that was not based on a real feeling. You just go with the crowd. There are many people who say, gee, I want money. Okay, so one day they inherit something and all of a sudden it becomes boring. You understand? And the people who are ahead of time will say, oh no, I can never be bored with money or anything like that. No, that's not real. But it's part of the human dynamics that one must overcome, however. There are people who even are hungry and they come and the food is spread out and their hunger disappears. Do you understand? They lose their appetite all of a sudden. And then if you step away from the food again, you become hungry again. You must be on top of things. This is a check on whether you like heaven or not. And if you don't like heaven, something is obviously wrong with your system. As in, you prefer hell to heaven? Well, this is how you check that out. This is heaven, because this came from God. Gij is where this came from. That infallible proved the theorem that said, through what God revealed to me, through my brains, that all infallible truths and all, that includes all creatures and all infallible solutions to all problems mathematically originate out of one invariant Gij, or Gi with orthogonal component Jij, that defines God the Creator. And because it is the invariant, the disappearance of that invariant is zero exactly. And that's Gij, comma J equal to 0. And out of that Gij comes all the etas of n. That includes subatomic particles. Subatomic particles. N is equal to 0, gives you all subatomic particles. Then the atomic particles come in when n is equal to 1. It didn't just give you what so-called theoretical physics does is, oh, they go and they're looking into the material. They don't really concentrate very much on the geometry. But there's no such a thing as a materialization without geometry. The geometric path is very critical because everything's in continuous motion. So, but as I'm talking, some physical language or physics language, the geometry is the bottom line. The geometry, which is the Gagut matrix. And now the mathematics are defined by Gagut matrix. The story of infallible truths, otherwise called theorems. These are theorems. These are all theorems because they're all infallible truths. A straight line has theorems. But nobody knew where straight lines came from before Gagut. Straight lines came out of G-I-J. Praise God, G-I-J is where straight lines come from. Straight lines. And in the pure geometry, the G and J becomes simply a parameter. You're focusing on this here. You draw and see the path. But thank God that the path that you draw has a thickness that will give you a sense of the material part in there as well. It's the prettiest thing you can imagine. Professor Tia talks about different algebraic geometry. That's the totality of algebraic geometry. Like he and his friend, they were all obviously flabbergasted. But also that since you have a product of material and the space-time that gives the total picture, you have the geometry there, and when you, in Gagut mathematics, you look into the geometry first. Okay, when n is equal to 1, when n is equal to 0, you have straight lines or straight, straight paths. Straight, straight surfaces. No curvatures. Oh, there's a curvature, but a constant curvature. Simply amazing. Linear. It used to be the geometry, from that comes out of that is called so-called Euclidean geometry. And non-Euclidean geometry then had to wait, not with Gagut. You make that 1 and you have curvature immediately. Because n plus 1 will now be 2. You have curvature there already. When n is equal to 0, it's just 1, so it's constant. So this is first and foremost geometry. Otherwise called, in this form it is called algebraic geometry. But this algebraic geometry came out of differential geometry, which is Gij, comma j equals 0. The gap is so huge. The Gagut state of existence is so huge. The feeling is so hard to explain to those who don't have an inclination. You can come into the inclination spiritually, but you must be ready for quantitative dynamics that lead you into real geometry, because we're talking about perfect geometry here. You all understand? Yes. When n is equal to 1, you have the conic sections. This, the material thing here becomes simply parameter. And you have conic sections set in the sections here. So you get Afro-Crojan on an atomic level, and then you get the solar system on the macro level, on the bigger level. Wow, how do you unify, and all that? The subatomic particles is where the quantum physics is supposed to be. Quantum physics comes out of etas of zero geometries. As a bottom line. You swoop it out right quick. All the convolutions and complications are totally unnecessary. So they all come from geometry. And in pure geometry, this is simply treated as a parameter. When you look into applied, then you begin to interpret these parameters having some kind of material implications. they're not different subjects. It's only one subject, Gagutmatics. That's it. That's it. So, when n is greater than 1 and going to infinity, then you have the galaxies. Galaxies. That is unending, just like n itself. Therefore, this is the totality of the universe. Can you all see that? So, you're talking about your fellow human being being blessed by God with that kind of revelation. In the process, God has brought you to the gate of heaven. You are touching heaven. You are really, really right in there. The decision now is, do you want to go in or you want to hang out in the hell? Because the heaven is still unknown to you. But you can see it. But are you ready to go in? That's right. That's right. You went. If you think the outside look good, you know the inside it feels much better. Much better. So just go in, let yourself go. In this case, you don't have to die to do that. That's a huge difference. That's a huge difference. You can live your heaven state, praise God, right here, right now. That means you must listen to and do what I ask you to do. Go and rescue the black kids from the special ed. Do it! As though you are in heaven. You end that crying from your little ones once and for all. Do you all understand? You end that unnecessary suffering for those youngsters once and for all. And it makes you feel heaven yourself. Because that's one sadness you don't have to deal with anymore. Do you all understand? The kid going and getting a perfect score and the teacher marks 60% as in F grade. You're not going to hear that anymore. Do you all understand? It lowers your blood pressure. So I give you solutions to blood pressure. Take it. Take it. You don't need blood pressure. Take care of that youngster, and your blood pressure is going to be lower. You'll do more useful things. You have a lot more power. You understand? Your concentration will be at a level where you could do miracles because you just began the process. The problem, you never thought there was going to be a solution. Stop that young teenager being slammed on the hood of the car. Because just the viewing, the seeing alone is horrifying sight. Again, raises your blood pressure. Do you all understand? Yes, that's what this is. That's all that came from here. So when Professor E. Abubakar went back to the Senate, after listening to the Gagut presentation for 3.5 hours, first of all, he vowed he was never going to say anything about Gagut. No, he jumped down from the podium and called a press conference right away. This is the thing that knocked him out cold. I'm going through that thing. I said, look, you all have difference in opinion, but this is a task of event for you. That when he saw that, he became very, very quiet. John, come over here for a second.
Please hold. You can all come into the briefing by calling at 631-242-3069 so they can get the heaven experience. Call us at 631-242-3069 so you can get the heaven experience of the Gagut briefing.
Okay. All right. So this is your heaven here. This is heaven. This is God. These are all the infallible truths that includes all creatures fundamentally and all infallible solutions to all problems. When n is equal to 0, you have solutions to Riemann hypothesis. Exactly. Y'all understand? That's an infallible solution. An infallible solution, all infallible truths, including all creatures and all infallible solutions to all problems. For Riemann hypothesis, when n is equal to 0, you get exact solutions that comes out of that fundamental building block. The fundamental solution gives you the actual real solution. Once you have the building blocks, that's it. Somebody gave you all the structures to the building and gives you instruction, that's it. You got it, the building's there. That's what this is to every problem, every perfect solution to all problems. So when I give you solutions for the black kids and even non-black kids, everybody else, do it. When I say come to the briefing, do you all understand? You're wasting your time paying $100,000 to go to Harvard because Harvard comes here to learn. Why are you going to Harvard? Why can't you? Why do you have to go? Come over here and learn the truth. You're going to go and learn special. You're going to go to Harvard to learn special ed compared to over here and pay $100,000. Y'all understand? Oh God. Y'all understand? Why? Why would you want to do that? You heard the professors in Harvard, right? They told you they're tired of learning special ed at Harvard. They want the real curriculum. Don't you remember them saying that? Or Cambridge or MIT. Professors at MIT were there on the picket line. Give us Gagut education. So, this is the 29th anniversary. It's time for you, it's way overdue for you to wake up. There's no other knowledge beside this, absolutely none, in all subjects. That's what it really means to say God ordained a creature with ultimate intelligence. In geometry, they call it the ultimate elegance. Ultimate, geometric and otherwise. Elegant. Elegant infallibility. It's elegant, that's what Professor Yabaka was trying to say. And to convince his colleagues, especially from Cambridge, that he's still being very conservative. For raw mathematicians, real geometers, this is the solutions to all the problems. Mathematically, these are the solutions. He went out of his way to say, is capable of solving solving all problems, all mathematics problems. And nobody could give him an argument in the Senate or anywhere else. And the man is so intelligent. He knows there cannot be any creature that can challenge him. Because you can't challenge it as a man. Except Wikipedia. Wikipedia is still looking for a theory. You understand? Wikipedia still needs a theory for 2 plus 1. Wikipedia is still looking for a theory for 2 plus 1 minus 3. He has no clue what's the answer. He's still looking for a theory to explain that for him. That's where Wikipedia is. And boy, he's running the world. No, he's running hell. That's what he's doing. He doesn't know the difference between heaven and hell. That is hell. He's not even ashamed to say he's looking for a theory. And all of mathematics, there's no, in the non-black world, they don't have mathematics. They have theories, number theory, you understand me? Topology theory, everything's nothing but theory. That's degrading mathematics to the physics level, or so-called applied sciences, where they don't understand geometry. You can see the totality of geometry is here. The totality and exactly. That's what's in here. And once you have that, you have every applied, like I said before. Applied comes in when you start giving this some kind of physical interpretation, or chemical interpretation, or biological interpretation, or sociological interpretation, and all that. When you're doing raw geometry, this is simply a parameter. You don't really care much about its units, because the units devise out. You can normalize this whole thing with the units, and it's non-dimensionalized. There's only one knowledge. That's the geometry knowledge. That's non-dimensional. Interpreting this to mean some kind of physical dynamics over another, or chemical dynamics, biological units after another those are details, you know, for you to just narrow down to certain things that you like to check out, like to see. Those are simple details that once you understand the non-dimensionalized version, you've understood everything. So therefore, this is the totality of knowledge. Therefore, you are in company of the Creator. That's where this came from. That's why, praise God, and that's why you are in heaven. State of existence. God, heaven state of existence. When you get involved with it as a man. When your life begins to be connected to it as a man. That only happens here. It happens here. So the whole dynamics of Jim Crow or anyone else trying to ignore this is moronic in itself. You can't ignore this. You can't ignore this. You've been trying to ignore God since you came into this world. The more you do that, the more powerful God gets. And that's why God took the center stage in 1990 and ordered me in and said, give them everything they need. That's all I'm giving you all. I get you right, praise God. I bring you right to the door of the heaven state of existence. Make up your mind and come right in, because it's even more exciting inside. You want to be governed by etas of n, because it will tune your system, because that's where all your subatomic particles that made all your components came from. Then you are in tune with yourself. No more diseases, no more hunger, no more death. Because you are in control of your system, because you are in tune with your system. That tune is how you communicate with your systems. The tuning is how you communicate with your body systems. The speeds and everything else will be in sync. That's all in it as a man. In tune with the galaxies and the rest of the universe. That's what we're dealing with. Okay, John? John? Praise God. So, now, look, you need to develop or redevelop your families again. You need to redevelop your friends and relatives. You need to reestablish the connectivity you had 2,500 years ago, where love is the bond between you and your family members and the rest of humanity. Jim Crow brought in hatred. This destroys that hatred. Etas of n has done away with that hatred. So reestablish that love connectivity again, where you are in tune with each other with this formula. And when you're connecting with this formula, you are unified. You are on the same page. Whatever you like to do becomes easy. This is when n is equal to -1, all additions, correct additions, are reproducible. The only reason all additions are correct is because they come out of etas of -1. Do you all understand? Yes, when n is equal to 1, you're adding two or more numbers. And when you subtract the answer from that number, the answer is 0. That's what etas of n represents. The 0, the invariant. From 2 plus 1 equal 3, and 2 plus 3 equal 5. They have the same invariant, 0. When n is equal to -1, you've got all of those they are in there. And it's the only reason they are correct, because of this invariant. So, but because when you reestablish this love with your friends and with your relatives, when you're doing those additions, all of you will be correct. Your communication will have no stress involved in it. You will not have an argument. You want to send the books to the police? Yes, God is the greatest. Praise God. You want to send your books to the police? I told you that many, many months ago. They're slamming on the hoods of the, of the cars. Are still going on because you haven't done that yet. When you connected with your friends and your relatives, that becomes easy. When you connected with, your connectivity or the connecting factor is eta sub n, you'll be talking the same language. There will be no disagreement. You need 10 people, $20 to get a Gagut book into the judge. The judge, this is the ultimate law. Eta sub n is the ultimate law. Whatever law they have and which they're following this is the ideal law, this is God's law. This is the real law, the law that must be followed. So all the assignments I've given you to do in order to actualize the heaven state of existence, give all those people that don't know you an introduction of yourself through the giving of the Gagut books. Is the most elegant way of providing solutions to all the problems. And this is how you really earn a lot of respect from the non-blacks. Because blowing away 87 million people is avoided. When people began to see the propagation of Gagut in 1999, the non-blacks their suicide rate was supposed to have gone up. Kind of like the Japanese after they lost Second World War. They were jumping from the cliff and they were scared to be taken prisoners. They rather die. That, in effect, has been what has been the response to Gagut, because it's the victory given to black people for the ultimate war. Ultimate war is what this is a solution to. This is what proves my IQ to the infinity. Exactly. N plus 1 must absolute infinity. Because that's how you reproduce the fundamental nature of God and the entire universe. That's the one that shows all the galaxies. They're all in my brains and in my formula. This formula came through that brains. You have to have absolute infinite intelligence quotient for you to understand God. It's supposed to be an impossible. That's what Stephen Hawking said. It's impossible to understand God. But that's right here in front of you. Take a look again. That's it. This is the formula that explains God. I'm showing that to you. All the galaxies comes out of God. Yes, praise God. So follow through with that and do what I tell you to do. Yes. Praise God. That's it. The one that come to you and say they are prophets, they tell you very nice, eloquent kind of stuff. Eloquence can be different from elegance. Elegant infallibility is different from eloquence. This is elegant infallibility. The whole galaxies are in here. Those are known to come from God. And they are all nice and infinite. That's what had been on God's mind, that God allowed me to see. This is my brain here. It has this, the totality of the universe, right in my brains. I hear. Follow through, praise God, and do what I tell you to do. You're going to be healthy. You're going to be unified or reunified with your friends and your relatives again. You've been in a position to make life not just easy, but wonderful for the youngsters. The one thing they're looking forward to getting from you, you are able to deliver. If only you listen to my word, you regain your respect back from those young people. In the African world, there's nothing like there's nothing as beautiful, more beautiful than that. That's what is the basis of respect. You are supposed to give glory to your Creator for giving the elders and others in similar position the intelligence to help the younger ones out of their misery, like being pounded on the hoods of cars. That will stop the day you make sure the police chiefs get copies of the Gagut books. It's the best investment you can make, because your respect will be earned that way. The one that gives is the blessed one. Is the one that has the blessing. Yes, that's what you need to remember. I'm giving you, look what I'm giving you. Praise God. Because God gave me the stuff. So you see, I pass it on to you. You should be able to pass it on to the police. You understand? The gala gitches, the galas and gitches. Yeah, that's the galas and the gitches really are the ones that manage to interact with the outsiders. In the gala, it's called a kichi. Gitchy part is the kichi, meaning you can speak the non-black language. But the galas speak gala, the original black language. The ichi is when you bring in the outsiders' language. So when you have the Gitchi, of course, those are the ones that go interact with the outsiders in order to make sure there's peace. That's why they're all together. Gala Gitchi, Galas and the Gitchis. The Galas and the Gitchis need to get the news of Gagut, because that's what has been provided by them. The connectivity to the Gala land in South Carolina and the hills of Jamaica and Suriname and Guyana and South America, almost everywhere in South America, even Argentina, Chile, all those areas. Not like even in Alaska and everywhere else. This is your real self now. You gotta live your real life. This is where the N+1 is now 28 for you as a minimum. And for Jim Crow, it is 19. Give some credit unto Jim Crow for telling, some truth. To say, no, you are in charge. Yes, you're supposed to be the president. Take on the presidency. Don't drag anymore. The acting time is over. Now time, since 1990, you're 29 years behind schedule. Do you all understand? Yes. We're behind for 29 years. Let's double up. Let's double up. The unnecessary debts, if not. Yes, yes. Those unnecessary debts must disappear. We must get rid of them. The suffering and all that need to go. This is the solutions. Okay, John? Okay, let's flash some of the items. In other words, let's see how you get Riemann hypothesis. Come on, John. When they test n is equal to 0, you get this exact solutions to the Riemann hypothesis. Jim Crow can't understand it. I have a job of teaching Jim Crow. Let's get the Riemann hypothesis. Start with the first pages. You all understand? I'm going to show you an example of how you reproduce solution. What is considered default? That's right. Okay, can you all see that? Can you see what's on there? All right. God Almighty's grand unified theorem. Yes. God Almighty's grand unified theorem. Gagut, G.I.J. comma J equal to 0 has revealed proven solution to the Riemann hypothesis, a clear mathematics millennium problem. I was done the publication here was 2010. Okay? This is the solution, the infallible solution. J2J of eta of 0, that's n equals 0. That's it right here. Jim Crow, you understand me? Jim Crow doesn't have the intelligence to understand this. You coming off the street have a better chance. That's why I'm spending the time to teach you. You all understand? You all understand? Yes. I mean, otherwise one would be trying to teach a stone. Teach a stone. You have a different response. Let's put it like that. Okay? This is the invariant. Okay, a function of the invariant is also invariant. So you have G2J of that invariant because all that is needed is to identify what n. And eta sub n is, you understand me, is the solution to all problems. Do you all understand? You simply need to find what n is. Okay? The dynamics of the problem itself proves n has to be 0. So you find the Gij for that. And that's exactly what it is. If Jim Crow has enough brains, they won't be embarrassing themselves. So the technique with them when you're dealing with ignorance is to be quiet. You don't make you take a fifth. You just lay low and hope all the solution will be explained, and then you come and say, oh, you knew it all along. That's the game Jim Crow plays. You don't want to be like Jim Crow. Do you understand? You see, yes, all solutions are in eta sub n. So identify n. That is done already here. You need an invariant that exactly defines the specific solution, and that is the specific solution, which is called a mapping from a logarithm mapping of u from eta sub 0. That's what it is. That is what is the solution, exact solution to Riemann hypothesis. The rest becomes elementary complex variables. That's it. If Jim Crow has any brains, that is, you understand me, once the problem has been transformed like that, that is it. You have to be a real moron, big time, to think somehow you're going to use a technique to make people be unable to see this. From this point on, the rest is textbook stuff. You go into your textbook, there will be a logarithmic mapping from a U space to eta sub 0 space. That's a standard in most textbooks. And I've shared with you all. So Jim Crow not understanding this is like Wikipedia saying they're still looking for theory. When eta sub n has solutions to all problems, he's still looking for theory. Why bother looking for theory when you have exact infallible truth solution? Why? Can anybody reason out some logic behind that? They're bragging about looking. Do you understand? Do you understand? They're embarrassing humanity. They're embarrassing humanity. Which is why God woke you up in 1990 to stop the embarrassment. Because when you're embarrassing humanity, you're embarrassing the Creator. So Jim Crow is waiting to steal this. That's how moronic Jim Crow is. And he's hoping that you are in his category. You're going to wait until he steals this in before your eyes. That's what he's hoping. Because he thought he had gotten to a point where you could not return to being yourself. He's been knocking you for 2,500 years. I'm telling you where you can stay on the bus and giving you all kinds of fountains. I mean, the whole thing about the disadvantaged fountain and the privileged fountain is so childish.
Praise God, Miss Q. Oh, Miss Ross. Sorry.
It is so childish, absolutely childish. But it's supposed to be an indoctrination process. That, somehow once you get into it, they have this simple-minded thing about Pavlovian monkey. You will never recover from it. And they put all kinds of... So it is unbelievable. They're waiting to steal this. That's how moronic Jim Crow is. It's right here. From now on, it is textbook material. Not a single creature has ever associated this with Riemann hypothesis before, but that is the elegant infallibility dynamics. Minus eta sub 0 natural log of 2 plus natural log of u as a function of eta sub 0 multiplied by e to the power I into 2j plus 1 pi. That's the exact solution to the Riemann hypothesis. The definition follows, of course. So the definition, this is the definition of u as a function of eta sub 0. Look at it here. Okay, and then this is where the beginning of the solution comes from, as eta sub n, where n is equal to 0 of the general case. Out of this, when you simplify it, you recover the actual one that was used in the problem. Because you have a z equal to x plus iy. That comes out of here right away. All right? That's right here. So when we do the solution to the most, so this is where you get, in other words, in the Jim Crow world, this problem is the toughest math problem, but look how it was just swept out, bang, like that, from Gagut. From eta sub n. One little eta sub n solves the problem Jim Crow still cannot comprehend. Even trying to steal it, you understand me, he's still having difficulty because he is too moronic. They had to bring a tear in to divert the focus from, from the solution. But it's right here. It hasn't changed. It's, since 1990 when it came out, it hasn't changed. It has been here. So you ignore enough for it to steal. That's moronic. It already shows you are disadvantaged. That's the only when you're disadvantaged do you bother stealing from other people. The brains can't work, so you go stealing from those with the brains. That's inferiority complex. And it's only when you don't have the ability. It's only when you're not intelligent. But Jim Crow has already confessed he's not intelligent, so the only way he can, have any prize given, which must be special ed, obviously. That's why you can't mix up with Jim Crow. He can only give himself a special ed prize. All right? And that is zeta function. That's right here, neatly reproduced from Gagut. That's it. But this is the exact solution. Infallibly. And you haven't seen anybody dare challenge this. It's a textbook. Because you're going to go and challenge the textbooks in complex variables. Not even Jim Crow is dumb enough to do that. And that's why this solution holds forever. That's right here. Praise God. So your job now is waking up. One more reason why you need to give the books out to the judges. The judge will try to crash in on some kind of program where they're going to learn some little complex variables. But even just knowing that you can know the value of this book and giving that to a judge, that already stick with the judge's mind. The next time they try to sentence a black man, they're going to think twice. You all understand?
Yes.
That's what needs to be done. The raising of the award money, that's your responsibility. You have to do it. There's no reason to fool around with that. The Nobel individually saved enough money to continue giving the prize for eternity. It comes from a race with 19 IQ. What's your justification with 28 plus? And you can't do it individually and can't do it collectively? No, you are lying. One single creature from your race. Do you all understand? Receive the totality of intelligence from God. And you say the rest of you collectively, you can raise $2 million in 2 seconds. That's you're lying. Can you see that? Yeah, tell the brothers and sisters that. Tell them confidently that that's what God says. Because God that gave you the brains knows what God has given to you. You all understand? Even parents knows the strength of their children. Isn't that right? Both physical and mental. So God knows you in and out. God will not give you a responsibility that when God handed me the formulas, God knew. Where did you see me going to say to God? Say, God, I don't know that I can handle it. Where did you see me do that? Did you see me do that? That's right. That's right here. That's what you need to do. That's what you all need to do. Right away. Okay? So the rest of the world, but Russia spoke. Let's give Russia a hand. Let's give Russia a real hand in terms of, yes, they're watching. They saw the fraud from Attia and everybody else. They told the truth. That's why the Russia Daily News is very critical. Very, very critical. No, it's not surprising that when you try to share the Russia Daily News, Jim Crow goes ahead and try to interfere with the content of that Russia Daily News. That's how desperate Jim Crow is. The Jim Crow is not necessary to steal. Wake up! You could do better than steal. Make up your mind and learn like everybody else. Learn from the black people. Don't take on responsibilities that you don't have the capability of handling. That's it. That's the only way out. You can't be watching something this elegantly infallible and be, hoping you can steal it. You won't be able to know what in the world you're going to do with it. Just pile the rubbish in your what do you call it, Wikipedia? Oh, you won the prize. It's not. This is the real prize, Jim Crow. G2J is the real prize. You don't have anything like this, and you will never have it other than stealing. This is the real prize. The solution to the Riemann hypothesis. You don't have any. Oh, we're close to proving Riemann hypothesis. That's all we hear in your dumb newspaper, so-called news, science news, and all the others. And the fraud from Attia and then, New York Times. all phonies. Where is your formula, Jim Crow? This is the one from the black race. Do y'all understand? This is the solution. Jim Crow has none and will never have any other than trying to steal this one. They're very close to proving Riemann hypothesis. Who is we? What else do you have other than stolen legacy, Jim Crow? Stolen goods. You don't need that. Like the Mansa Musa story. Yes, you pretended to be the professor. And then come around when you see the real black professors. You couldn't even sit in their class without taking a remedial course. As students, that is. To stay in, you have to go elsewhere and get a remedial supplement before you can come and be a student. It's what we're talking about here. You have no clue. None of you have any clue that this is a solution to the Riemann hypothesis before Gagut in 1990. That's it here. The way it was 1990 is still the way it is today. That's it right here. It's a logarithmic mapping. Go over to the where they show the curve of the mapping. Y'all understand? Africans are ashamed. Okay, I'd like to show, but yeah, let me show the. Okay, yeah, show this. Okay, take a look at it, Jim Crow. You see, that is gas. Geometric African series. The geometric series. This is the upper bound for the zeta function. That's it right here. Geometry with the exact solution given by this. And so, for you to talk about proving Riemann, the geometric series must converge. That's a necessary condition. Because Riemann says there's only one value. One set of zeros. This doesn't converge, you can't get one set of zeros or a unique set of zeros. And there's no way this is going to converge if x is less than 1. Not because this will be, n is large and infinite. Therefore, and positive of course, so when you have x is less than 1, then this is negative. So you're talking about this going upstairs. It's a very large quantity that shows non-convergence. It's very simple to see. So your science news is a fraud. Downright fraud. Atia has gone through that path before. Thank God he confessed before he transformed on. Another fraud. No, the solution is what you saw there before. It's well proven. This comes from God, Jim Crow. Comes from God. So Riemann is 1/2, meaning this is negative. This is going to explode and makes it infinite, non-determinate solution. Every point literally is a solution. That's not a solution at all. You don't even know that much. Why bother? Why putting your dirty hands in things like this? It's right here, baby, with some little baby, some black kids can get a concept here. This has to converge, meaning that for this to be so the solution of zeta function to be 1 or independent of n, large N, this unit here must be approaching 0 as n approaches infinity. But if this is negative, this is divergent to infinity. This whole thing here is divergent to infinity. Because, you know, this will be negative downstairs here. Will go up and dominate this whole expression. 1 minus that. This will be 0 compared to that. When n is, 10 to the power billion, the minus will make it a positive power. And that will be too large. And therefore, the zeta function zeros will be dependent on n. Jim Crow, shut up, don't fool around. Okay, it's very clear here. Atia probably saw this and was embarrassed. Every one of them was given this to review. Nobody can touch it. Not then, nor now, nor ever. It's very tight. Go to the plots. Okay, that's the mapping. That's geometry. Very neat. That's it right here. That's G2J. That's what you all saw before. That's a logarithmic mapping from U space logarithmically to eta sub 0 space. That's it right here. They're all vertical lines. And what was guessed by Riemann, a very brilliant mathematician, is that you're going to get a straight line, a vertical straight line, once you fix x. It's not just one x, lot of x's. It's only when you, because those are finite value, any finite n will produce a same geometry. That's a classic in terms of logarithmic mapping. It's very, very clear. So when you go past x is greater than 1, in which case that power then now becomes 1 over 2 to positive n as n approaches infinity. Then as n approaches infinity, that 1 over 2 to the power n, large n, will be approaching 0. Only then will the roots, the solutions of zeta, the zeros of zeta function becomes independent of n. Because the bigger the n, the 0, the 1 over 2 to the power n is. And so therefore, it will not be dependent on n anymore. Because n does not have any end. So it is the most elegant stuff, elegant and beautiful stuff. Because, okay, you don't specify n, you just send a large n. So the larger the better. The larger it is, the 1 over, the smaller 1 over, the more it approaches 0. Until it is so small, you might as well consider it 0. Now, at that point, the results are independent of n. Then you have a solution set for a zeta function that is zero that is independent of n. Independent, does not depend on n anymore. Because that function there, that little thing that's, is zero. When you have 10 to the power minus infinity, that's zero, and you could go on forever. If you're using any computer tools, you can't even do 10 to the power minus 100, let alone go into 10 to the power billion, okay? So you just write zero for the rest of those. Therefore, it becomes independent. That's very simple to see. All right? So therefore, that is it. It's very elegant. Go to the computation of the zeros themselves. See how beautiful that is? So therefore, and thank God for Russia reporting the truth. See, this is the the Riemann hypothesis. Okay? Here you can compute it when you choose, specify xj and n. N is 10 here, yes? That's approximately 0, 0, 0. Okay? But that is, when you change n, the zeros, you're not going to see a 0 here anymore. So there's nothing unique about, this title. You must specify, that's what's called finite. And when you specify n, you get a set of zeros. That's the only thing you can get with the Riemann hypothesis. That's all you can get. Move on, go to the next plot. Yes, this one here. This is when there's convergence. Meaning x is greater than 1 at 1.18. But n can now be very large. Before we have only 10. This is 440 terms. Okay, and you're going to find out that even from here you can see how controlled it is. Your n is not going to make this go wild like the other ones. So you can see here, this is a 0 right here. Okay, this is pretty close to 0. That's approximately 0. Okay, and there are others, but this will be unique because this is not going to change because there's convergence as n gets very large. The solution here will be independent of n. And Jim Crow is trying to, is pretending to be proving, they're close to proving Riemann hypothesis, because that will appear like it's contradicting this here. That's a fraud. If you have any brains, you'll be trying to understand this rather than trying to discredit it. That's dumb. You can't discredit 2 plus 1 minus 3 is equal to 0. Only in your lack of clear-mindedness or lack of intelligence. All right? Go to Russia Daily News. Just summarize it. I know. Good, just flash that. Go straight to one. Okay, so that's Russia. Say, hey, Gagut is so infallible for Jim Crow to do, the kind of thing Jim Crow does, which is fraud. Play with humanity.
Can you see it, Miss Raw? Russia Daily News piece.
Okay. Almighty's grand unified theorem, Gagut, Gij, equal to 0, infallibly prove that all theorems and all equations, past, present, and future, originate out of one invariant. That's what we went over before. One singular, Gij, equal to 0. Gagut hence contains all of mathematics, because mathematics they studied, as defined by Gagut. Of theorems, also contains all of physics and all of chemistry. Nothing is left out. Hypotheses and conjectures can only be determined through Gagut. A legendary Cambridge University mathematician, Professor Tia, was reported. You see, he was found here studying the Gagut solutions, and then had the nerve, to go and try to put a doubt on Gagut. That's wrong. Reported to have been delighted to see the review of Gagut by another legendary mathematician, Professor Grigory Sagas, over 200 MRs during the briefing on Gagut, presented by a young mathematics researcher to Professor Samuel Carter, who requested to keep a copy of the Gagut review at Stony Brook on November 3, 2010. Sir Professor Tia, who was at Stony Brook to deliver a lecture entitled From Algebraic Geometry to Physics, A Personal Perspective, had his research work collected works by Michael Atiyah and Diana Yagoniza, as well as the work of knowledge and mathematical thinking by legendary Göttingen University mathematician Professor David Hilbert, together with the Gagut work Grand Unified Theorem, Discovery of the Theory of Everything, and the Fundamental Building Block of Quantum Theory by Professor Oyibo, selected by Göttingen University to honor the greatest mathematician Carl Friedrich Gauss in 2005. God Almighty's Grand Unified Theorem, as stated earlier, has infallibly proved that all theorems and all equations, past, present, and future, originate out of and can be represented by one invariant GI, which has orthogonal components Gij and a divergence of Jij, j equal to 0. Gagut has therefore unified all mathematics into one equation Jij, j equal to 0, and so has already provided solutions to all mathematics problems. The reason Gagut was used to honor Gauss, including all those discussed by Sir Professor Tia during his lecture at SUNY Stony Brook on November 3, 2010. Gagut specifically solved the quantum gravity and unified field theory, including absolute infinity problems discussed by Sir Professor Tia exactly. Since Gi can represent unified force field or quantum gravity function, or invariant having orthogonal components Gij and divergence Gij, j equal to 0. The infallibility of that representation is established by 8 types of bend, which you spent a lot of time seeing today. The fundamental solutions to Gagut Gij, j equal to 0, where the quantum part is represented by 8 types of 0 and the gravity part is represented by 8 types of 1. The clear mathematics millennium problems, which were also discussed by Sir Professor Tia, particularly the Navier-Stokes, the Yang-Mills equations, and the Riemann hypothesis, have all been solved exactly by Gagut. That's what I showed you a little while ago. This is why Gagut was declared a tenure article by a research categorizing institution, whereas the Navier-Stokes equation solutions through Gagut were directly reviewed by American and European mathematical societies, AMS and EMS, e.g. by Professor Dubosky of the Russian Academy of Sciences and Professor Pazzi of Italy, while the Yang-Mills equation solutions through Gagut, together with the Riemann hypothesis resolution through Gagut, were reviewed within the generalized proof of Einstein's theory using a new group theory, paper by Professor Oyibo by the American and European mathematical societies, e.g. by Yom Karo and Professor G. Sagas. Gagut again represented an expanded new version of Riemann hypothesis resolution through Gagut within a paper entitled God Almighty's Grand Unified Theorem. Gij, J equal to Gagut, Gij, J equal to 0 has revealed proven solution to Riemann hypothesis, a clear mathematics millennium problem by Professor G. Oyibo, which a group of distinguished mathematicians was invited to review, in addition to its previous general review by AMS and EMS. Gauss' 2005 celebration selected works as expected for the greatest experts in any field of knowledge, constitute some of the greatest recognitions in mathematics. That is clearly seen by the partial list in the link below, which includes the works of Professor David Hilbert, recommended to be studied, who was a successful, head of the mathematics department at Göttingen University, and who was also recognized as the last of the great mathematicians. The list also contains the work of Sir Professor Tia, who was successor to Sir Isaac Newton, as Master of Trinity College, Cambridge University, as well as all those titles he has won, to be studied 18 and so on. Also field medalists, again equivalent with the Nobel Prize. Mathilde McConey recommended to be studied during the week 17 of 52 weeks of 2000. The work recommended to be studied during the week of 14 out of the 52 weeks of the 2005 by Professor Video Cullen and Professor Chen Chang was on geometric mechanics of Riemann hypothesis, Riemann manifolds, named after Professor Bernard Riemann, another great mathematician from Göttingen University. Professor Carl Friedrich Gauss, doctoral student, and who proposed the Riemann hypothesis. Gauss has its work recommended to be studied during week 26 of the 52 weeks of 2005, placing it in the center of Gauss' 2005 celebration, which is consistent with the reality of Gagut, containing all of the other works selected on that list, as well as all of other works of mathematics. Thus clearly one can see that God has already certified Gagut as having earned Abel Prize, Kim Faisal Prize, Nobel Prize, as well as clear mathematics millennium problem prizes, particularly for the Riemann hypothesis, which you just saw the solution geometrically. You must keep that in your mind, and remember, no amount of fraud is going to change that, at least since the distinguished reviewers, including Sir Professor Tia, did not disagree with the infallibility of Gagut. The additional basis for accepting and publishing the paper entitled God Almighty's Grand Unified Theorem, Gagut, Gij, has revealed proven solution to Riemann hypothesis, a clear mathematics millennium problem by Professor J. Oyibo in the Gagut Unified and Radical Mathematics Journal, number 1, volume 1, November 2010, which can be obtained in the following, as well as Gagut containing all of the mathematics work that have earned or shall earn in the future all Abel prizes, all Kim Faisal prizes, and all Nobel prizes, as well as all other prizes, including clear mathematics institute millennium problems. The key thing here, Russia did testify that Riemann hypothesis has been solved exactly, as well as all the solutions to all the other problems. And that's what you have the responsibility to, that's right, to not only remember at all times, to remember all the testimonies, but more importantly is to raise the funds. Make sure you break it and share with all the brothers and sisters, and you can rise in the process. Give the Gagut book that contains the solution to Riemann hypothesis to all the judges. This is how you open the gates of the prisons, just like the gates of the gas chambers were opened by E minus MC squared is equal to 0 for the Jews who were being gassed in the gas chambers. Open the doors of the prisons for our people to come out. by celebrating the Riemann hypothesis. Do you all understand me? So that's what we need to do, and as we do, see the celebration, we might have, continue the celebration of 29th, throughout to the new year and so on and so forth. Because we didn't have time to finish everything we needed to finish there. Okay? So pass the word on to the people. Those who are not registered yet to come into the briefing can do so, okay? As we continue the celebration of 29 years of Gagut. You all understand? Praise God. So you all be godly, focused on vigilant understanding. God is the greatest and in charge. You all understand? Okay, make sure you each one teach. Yes, let's celebrate the Gagut birthdays for everyone. Particularly Carver and Otis Redding and all those others. We must never forget. This is the best way to celebrate, because this is a continuation of all they have done, all that they continue to be done by all of our people. A lot of folks are still manifesting our true essence. Let's combine all that together in a celebration, an ongoing, continuous celebration. Do you all understand? Okay, so you Gagut night with everyone. Make sure you touch everybody as soon as you get up with this, what we went over tonight. Okay? Gagut night. Praise God, praise God. Okay, John. Gagut night.